Up next, Sunrise El Paso organizer Luis Miranda will share some key updates on local struggles for justice.
Thank you, Miguel. I'm Luis Miranda, and this is the In Case You Missed It headlines segment of our show. The first story we will be discussing for our local headlines is the cite and release policy. Most of the information from this story comes from two articles published in the El Paso Times and other sources that will be included in the description. On Tuesday, the City Council approved a resolution to establish the city's first cite and release program for marijuana possession at the direction of our city manager, Tommy Gonzalez. This program must come into effect no later than September 1st. As of now, the program allows the police department to issue citations instead of arresting someone for 4 ounces or less of weed, which is a misdemeanor offense. As with traffic tickets, the person cited must appear before a judge at a later date. The Texas law affords officers the discretion to make an arrest in this situation. The discretionary use of arrest could be used in instances of where the person has outstanding warrants, is intoxicated, uncooperative, or a habitual offender, among other reasons. The resolution passed Tuesday also requires the city manager to provide quarterly program reports to the council that include documented reasons for the stop or arrest, the reason for discretionary use of arrest if used, the race and ethnicity of the person, which is very important, and the region or zip code where the stop or arrest took place. Gonzalez has to report back to the council late summer on the program status. He also must continue discussing cite and release with law enforcement, the district attorney's office, and State Representative Joe Moody, a strong supporter for the program, in the months leading up to the start of the program. Assistant Chief of Police Victor Sarur told the council officers will need to be trained on the cite and release policy in the coming months. The program will have a recurring cost of $2,636 for 600 citation books that holds 15 citations each, he said. This is a historic decision, as El Paso was the first city in Texas and the nation to pass anti-marijuana codes in 1915. El Paso had a majority Mexican population then, as it does today, mostly made up of laborers who worked in the cotton fields owned by white settlers. It was often the drug of choice after a long day of work, and the laws were passed partially to control and criminalize the Mexican population. The El Paso Times in those years ran many stories of wild Mexicans smoking loco weed and allegedly calling for the death of Protestants. The use of the term marijuana in the legal language of the law was part of the effort to profile and control the local population, as was the use of religion to divide between Mexican Catholics and the white Protestant settlers. The newly passed cite and release program is a sign that El Paso is beginning to move past this racist part of its history. Speaking of El Paso's racist history, our next story is about current racist policies in the borderland. The next headline is 65 COVID-19 cases in Otero County tied to private ICE detention facility. The information used in this story is from El Paso Matters. 65 detainees and employees have been infected by COVID-19 at a private incarceration facility near Chaparral. Health officials say one of the worst outbreaks in the El Paso, southern New Mexico region. The infected include 38 detainees and 6 employees at the Otero County Processing Center, operated for Immigration and Custom Enforcement, or ICE, and 21 inmates at the adjacent Otero County Prison Facility, which holds people for the U.S. Marshals Service and New Mexico Corrections Department. This highlights the vulnerability and danger of our prison system with regards to a pandemic, as well as the overall lack of medical care in said institutions. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham harshly criticized ICE and the Marshal Service for allowing conditions that led to the outbreak. She said the state had little control over federal facilities, though she vowed to use her power to force improvements. The governor stated that, quote, "It's a total violation, I think, of states' rights in terms of our opportunity and obligation to adhere to safe public health practices," end quote. The facilities are run by Management and Training Corporation, a private company that operates 26 prison and detention facilities across the country, including another facility in New Mexico's Cibola County. A spokeswoman for the company, Isa Arnita, claimed that they are following all CDC guidelines for prisons and detention centers. An ICE spokeswoman said that as of April 22nd, detention facilities in El Paso area reduced their population to no more than 70% of capacity to allow for social distancing. The Otero County Processing Center has a capacity of over just 1,000 beds, so that would mean that 700 people would still be held. Considering that in the past, lawyers representing ICE in court have tried to argue that soap and other toiletries were not essential enough to obligate the agency or any private contractor to provide them, it is doubtful that the agency has been diligent in the cleanliness of their detention facilities during the pandemic. Margaret Brown Vega, a volunteer for AVID in the Chihuahuan Desert. AVID stands for Advocate Visitors with Immigrants in Detention, which visits and advocates for people in ICE detention, said detainees at Otero County are afraid. Quote, one of them said, "We did not bring this into the facility. We've been here. We've been locked up here. It's the people who work here who brought it in, and they didn't take careful measure to protect us. And now we're sick, and we didn't do anything. We've been trapped in here all this time," end quote, Brown Vega said. For more details on this story, I encourage everyone to read the entire El Paso Matters articles on this issue, as they provide more information. We have a quick update on our Otero County story. New Mexico Department of Health reports 6 more COVID-19 cases at the private prison detention facility in Chaparral, bringing total to 77, 42 in ICE custody, and 35 in U.S. Marshals custody. 6 employees have tested positive so far. Moving on to our third story, we're going to a gunshot trial in Ulm, Germany. Perpetrator is given a suspended sentence. The information used in this story is from the German Institute on Radicalization and De-Radicalization Studies. The article is in German. A 51-year-old from Ulm, Germany, has been recently sentenced to 15 months suspended probation after shooting a German citizen from Nigeria twice. The court convicted the man of committing a racially charged attack. So what does this have to do with El Paso? The attack took place on August 3rd, 2019, shortly following the Walmart massacre in El Paso on the same day. According to the victim, who suffered non-life-threatening injuries, the gunman opened fire at the Burghaus Mitte in Ulm. He shouted twice, quote, "El Paso, Texas," end quote, alluding to the right-wing eco-fascist extremist attack that killed 23 that day in El Paso. The reason given by the court for the attacker's light sentence was that the man confessed and that the victim wasn't severely injured. This story serves as a grave reminder of the threat that eco-fascism poses on immigrant communities like ours. On that note, we're going to our final story of this week. More than 50,000 El Paso jobs lost to COVID-19. This news is also from El Paso Matters. More than 50,000 El Pasoans have filed new unemployment claims since mid-March. These numbers do not include people without a job who have not filed for unemployment or who are otherwise not considered to be looking for employment. About 357,000 El Pasoans were employed as of February, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The jobless claims since mid-March indicate that at least 1 of every 7 El Paso jobs have fallen victim to the global pandemic. On that final note, this concludes our news for the week, and in case you miss it, see you next week.